Okay, thank you very much, my friends and colleagues. Good afternoon. Very nice to have you with us in this cooling event, which is jointly organized by the Ministry of the Environment and Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, MITI, Japan, in cooperation with the Overseas Environmental Cooperation Center, Japan. Welcome to our side events, Higher Energy Efficient Cooling and HFC Lifecycle Management as a key contribution to climate change mitigation and adaptation. My name is Makoto Kato. I am from OECC, and also I am working as the head of the Secretariat of Initiative on Fluorocarbon Lifecycle Management, or IFL. So I'm happy to serve as the moderator in this event. As you see, well, the cooling is one of the largest and hot area for us to work on the mitigation side. As the cooling demand is rapidly growing in the world, especially in the developing economies. If the income increases, well, people usually want to buy cars and also home appliances. And then cooling appliances is actually one of the things people want to buy. And at the same time, if you choose for higher energy efficient ones or not efficient ones, well, this is actually a very different scenario. And I think my IEA colleagues they produced a very important document and reports for a couple of years ago, the future of cooling, and also the agency is also updating the information from the energy efficiency perspective. And also the cooling equipment or appliance, well, it usually contains refrigerants. And there are many different choices of refrigerants, but one of the things that we're using is HFCs. And for HFCs, this came from the basically from the Montreal Protocol community. Well, this is the substance that does not deplete ozone layer, so that it's actually very good for the ozone layer protection. However, as you know, as climate community focuses on the climate change mitigations. So with a very high global warming potential of HFCs, so that is something where we should work additionally. And Ministry of the Environment Japan has initiated the initiative on fluorocarbons lifecycle management to handle this refrigerants from the upstream of the consumption, production and consumption, but also the management in the leakage prevention, reclamation, collection, and also destruction in a sustainable way. So this is the whole background of what we have been doing as the government of Japan. And today we have excellent speakers. Well, this is look at this. Well, the very powerful people here, and we're going to have as a cooling day. One of the cooling day events. Well, we are going to exchange our information in an updated way, and also we would like to express our own ways to enhance and also improve for the cooling actions here. So this is the background of our events today. And without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Yutaka Matsuzawa, who is the Vice Minister for Global Environmental Affairs of the Ministry of the Environment, Japan. So Matsuda-san, can I have your, please?
Thank you, Kato-san. Distinguished participants and colleagues, I'd like to say a few words at the beginning of this event. In April this year, G7 ministers meeting on climate, energy, and the environment confirmed the importance of advancing the proper life cycle management of fluorocarbons. Also, last October, the 35th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol adopted decisions on life cycle, refrigerant management, and energy efficiency. Moreover, the global cooling pledges will be launched tonight under the UAE's initiatives, and Japan would like to thank the UAE for its excellent leadership. Japan is willing to contribute in various ways to promote the global cooling pledge. In response to such increasing momentum, we are here today to discuss fluorocarbon life cycle management and energy efficiency. Next slide, please. First of all, I would like to talk about fluorocarbon bank. By complying with the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol, the international society is going to reduce the amount of HFC production and consumption. However, the large amount of refrigerant contained in cooling appliances, which is called fluorocarbon bank, remains unaddressed. To realize the net zero emission of greenhouse gas, we need to address fluorocarbon emissions throughout the life cycle, from upstream to downstream. Next slide, please. In Japan, we have two regulations for fluorocarbons management. We have rapidly increased the amount of HFC's recovery and destruction under the regulation. Now we have more than 50,000 operators for recovery and around 60 destruction facilities domestically. In order to enhance the skills of recovery operators further, we issued a technical guidebook for recovery last March. Next slide, please. If you look at the rapidly growing global cooling demand, we also need to address the HFC's life cycle management globally. Particularly, many developing countries have not yet introduced actions for life cycle management. In other words, there are strong needs for registration, technologies for recovery and destruction, and inventory of fluorocarbon emissions. Therefore, Japan launched the initiatives on fluorocarbon life cycle management, IFL in short. We, through the IFL, support developing partner countries to take actions and accelerate their efforts. Next slide, please. This is the example, and you see the photograph, the left-hand side. Here you can find very important person, former Prime Minister of Japan and Vietnam, and yes, we have a nice joint work between Vietnam and Japan. And right-hand side, you can see the training program at Thailand, and we have a similar program in Cambodia. Next slide, please. And for the knowledge sharing with developing countries, Japan has provided various opportunities to advance their policy and practices. To scale up global action toward achieving net zero emissions, I hope you will join us for this meaningful action, and we would like to cooperate with the UAE and other countries to promote the global cooling pledge. So far, I've introduced Japan's action on life cycle management of fluorocarbons. Now, my colleague from Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, Kiara-san, will provide you with a brief on Japan's action toward energy efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you, Matsuzawa-san. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Shinichi Kihara, Director General for Energy and Environmental Policy, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. Kihara-san, may I have your on the floor?
Good evening, everybody. I am Shinichi Kihara, I'm the Director General for International Policy on Carbon Neutrality of METI, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. I'm very happy to host this timely event on higher energy efficient cooling and HFC lifecycle management. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all speakers today from UAE, India, the United States, Vietnam, as well as from International Energy Agency, the Asian Development Bank, and Climate and Clean Air Coalition, and all the audience for your participation. Next slide, please. So global net zero emission is an extremely ambitious goal, and each country and region is making efforts developing ambitious action plans to achieve that goal. In case of Japan, the data on Japanese CO2 emission domestically and globally provides a good sense of direction Japan is proceeding. Looking at the structure of Japan's CO2 emission, the left pie graph, yes, they are mostly energy-related emission, accounting for 93%. Efforts on energy efficiency to reduce CO2 emission is extremely important towards carbon neutrality by 2050. In addition, looking at the worldwide Japan's share of global CO2 emission, it is about 3%. This is the right-hand pie chart. In addition to reducing our own emission, Japan will bring solution to the world by providing advanced decarbonization technologies to contribute to the reducing 97% of emission outside Japan. Next slide. In April, Japan hosted the G7 ministers meeting on climate, energy, and environment in Sapporo, and also in May, Japan hosted the Leaders Summit in Hiroshima. There were 4 important messages related to this today's session. The first is one goal, various pathways. Climate neutral is a common challenge to all countries, all industries. We will aim for common goal of net zero through various pathways according to each country's economic and energy situation. The second is engagement with developing and emerging countries to accelerate emission reduction. The third is to highlight the role of energy efficiency as the first fuel. Energy efficiency is a crucial element in our challenge for global energy transition. The fourth is the new concept of avoided emission. It is a new indicator. In addition to the existing scope 1, 2, 3 methodology to qualify the value of companies' contribution to global emission reduction by providing decarbonization solutions. Next slide. As we discuss improving energy efficiency worldwide, energy efficiency in cooling is extremely important. Lack of air conditioning affects people's health and productivity, and lack of refrigeration leads to increased food losses. According to IEA report, energy consumption by our essential cooling is projected to triple by 2050. Next slide. Japan has made continuous effort in the area of climate-friendly cooling. The oil shock of the 1970s prompted Japan to advance greater efficiency in energy-consuming equipment through both regulatory and supportive measures. Energy efficiency of air conditioning in Japan has improved by around 30% in this 20 years through the Top Runner program. The Top Runner program sets the energy performance targets for energy-consuming equipment at the level of the high-end quality of the time. So this is kind of moving target methodology, and it requires manufacturers and importers to achieve this target. So once they reach the high-quality target, the target is even harder. In addition, with the introduction of methods for evaluating energy efficiency closer to the real condition of the use, and the promotion of standards and labeling system, Japan has made the most progress among major countries in the installation of heat pump air conditioner with inverters. So heat pump is already energy efficient solution, but together with inverter, this is a super efficient appliance. And Japanese heat pump manufacturers produces and supply products worldwide, accounting for 40% of global production capacity. Japan will continue to the promotion of higher energy efficient cooling in the world. And in order to encourage companies to promote such higher energy efficient cooling equipment, Japan is promoting dissemination and disclosure of a new concept, avoided emission, to encourage positive climate action by companies. Avoided emission is a methodology that evaluates companies' contribution to society-wide CO2 reduction through the spread of green products and services. For example, heat pump air conditioner is very popular now and replacing gas heating, mainly in European region. But this more heat pump air conditioner a company produces, the more scope 1, 2, 3 goes up because the factory is very busy. So there's not a way to count the actual reduction happening in Europe with the existing scope 1, 2, 3 accounting. So this avoided emission tries to measure that reduction happening beyond the scope 1, 2, 3, and that will be the value of the heat pump company's value. And there's already WBCSD has developed the guidance for avoided emission. And there's already international standardization effort by IEC is on the way. And Siemens and Panasonic, they are already releasing the avoided emission quantitatively in their reports. So with all these efforts, Japan is fully, we will fully support all the energy efficiency and also the promotion of the sustainable cooling. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very fantastic and a very powerful message from the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. Thank you very much for Director General Kihara-san for your nice presentation. Now, we're going to have two partners from international organizations. The first one is Ms. Martina Otto, who is the head of the Secretariat of Climate and Clean Air Coalition, CCAC. Martina, please.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you for the kind invitation. So I'm heading the Secretariat of the Climate and Clean Air Coalition that's hosted within the UN Environment Program. It is a partnership of now 84, soon 87 governments and almost 90 non-state actors as well. And we work at the nexus of climate and clean air, as the name says, but with a focus on short-lived climate pollutant reduction. And short-lived climate pollutants is methane, is black carbon, tropospheric ozone, and the HFCs. And as we have seen here already with a super pollutant summit to kick us off on the 2nd, for example, the topic of non-CO2 has gotten really some prominence. And as we already heard as well, today is a big day for everybody involved in cooling activities, with the cooling pledge being launched later today. And it's a reflection of how important the topic is. There's a vicious cycle that we're in. To keep us cool is heating up the planet, which again drives cooling needs. And we have to help break this cycle. It's an issue for health, not only for overall the planet, but also people's health. It's an issue for vulnerability and inequality, and therefore it's really important to look at all the options. And it was interesting to see also in the presentation the emphasis on avoidance, and obviously there are some technology fixes for that, but it also goes all the way to urban planning, to nature-based solutions and so on. I just wanted to highlight that as well. And then there is the shifts and the improve, and with regard to the improve, we look also on the HFCs. And really, since the launch of the CCAC in 2012 until the agreement on having a Kigali amendment in 2016, coalition partners were at the forefront of this. they have been campaigning for an amendment to the Montreal Protocol to include high global warming potential HFCs in the list of controlled substances. And that was very, very astute, obviously, because the Montreal Protocol has a big lever. And it was very good to do that. We're glad that we were successful in getting that in. There's still a little bit of unfinished business in this, but in 2017, the CCAC was the only group, and we're very proud, that was awarded the Ozone Political Leadership Award in recognition of all this work towards the amendment. And maybe a quick timeline as well of what happened. The HFC initiative of the CCAC in its first phase, with a lot of leadership from Japan, focused on activities that did give confidence to decision makers to support the amendment. So with support to HFC inventories, for example, with technology demonstration projects, with a tech conference and different case studies, capacity building support, that really helped to create the political environment as well for this to be taken forward. We then looked also at the support to the Emirates pledge for efficient cooling, which was a bit of a turning point in the attention, political attention. And we supported the initiative on fluorocarbons lifecycle, the IFL, in collaboration with Japan, that was already highlighted here. Now in 2021, we entered into a new phase of the CCAC, and here we have also a new strategy for these activities. It's the cooling strategy. So we've changed gears a little bit here to look at the outcome of what we want, the sustainable cooling. And we continue to highlight the importance of Kigali here, but also of other actions all the way along, including behavioral changes and a focus on things that are not yet taken on elsewhere as much. On life cycle management of fluorocarbons, the CCAC, together with the IFL and other partners, have organized a series of awareness-raising webinars and events, and we collaborated in the development of the resource book. And you had that seen as well, mentioned already in the presentation by Japan. So it's a resource book for life cycle management of fluorocarbons that was released in 2022, and that's a real resource to take action. Now that means you've seen sort of the breadth of what we provide, political advocacy to tools, to filling some concrete gaps, and we do that thanks to our trust funds, where we can provide direct support to countries based on demand. And here I would like to highlight what has happened with a recent approval for a project in the MENA region for cooling action plans in a number of countries. It's worth $1 million implemented together with the Cool Coalition, and it will look at demand assessments, capacity support, MRV frameworks, and workshop on anti-dumping. So there's a whole area that is coming together here as well. And I just want to highlight that there's a new expression of interest cycle starting on the 8th of December. So countries that are interested in getting support are welcome to submit their requests. Now, with regard to the session, I want to emphasize a new project in Vietnam, which looks at an MRV framework and refrigerant tracking system. And here we are collaborating with the Overseas Environment Cooperation Centers. So very happy to team up here to develop guidelines for refrigerant management procedures and introducing electronic tracking system. And we also look at a model HFC inventory through pilot activities. So I think this will help us drive things forward as we go. And before closing, I wanted to connect back to some of the recent developments at the MOP 35. And I think this will give us further impetus. One is really linked to the life cycle of refrigerant management. There's a decision that was taken to request the TEEP, the Technology and Economic Assessment Panel, to prepare a report to the parties on LRM in 2024, and also requested the Executive Committee of the Multilateral Fund to consider providing a window of funding. And I think this is a real game changer as well for this, because there will be a direct mechanism into that. The second that I wanted to mention is a decision on environmental dumping of cooling appliances. And as I said, we've already organized the first workshop around this topic. It's really important. We brought together countries to talk through the difficulties that do come with that, and it's a new work stream that we want to run in support of the Montreal Protocol. And here again, I mean, the decision that I highlighted asks to consider allocating funding for existing importing parties to develop and enforce policies and measures that will prevent future non-compliance that would be caused by the import of prohibited cooling equipment. And I think that's yet another equity issue that we need to look at. So that means for us, we want to support those activities with a number of strands of work, including these workshops, supporting our country partners in going ahead. And I think with that, I've drawn a picture a little bit on what we can provide, what matters to us, what we, together with the partners, actually have identified as key strands with regard to this topic going forward. And we're really, really happy again about this partnership with Japan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martina. Thank you very much for such a wonderful speech. Now, I would like to invite for Dr. Pavlo Abiakov, head of Renewable Integration and Secure Electricity Unit of the International Energy Agency, IEA. Pablo, please.
Thank you very much. Somebody will control the slides. It is really a pleasure for me to be here presenting some of our latest work. What I'm going to show was released last week as part of our anniversary 10th edition of energy efficiency. And it's our yearly analysis that builds actually on the future of cooling and includes a lot of that analysis that you mentioned, talking about key trends in investment, policy, and technology. In this case, focus a bit on the context of cooling. I'm sorry that the speakers cannot see the screen, but I will do my best to explain it with words and say the numbers that I have on the screen. And also at the end, I would like to try to link this discussion a bit with a discussion on the target of doubling energy efficiency improvements towards 2030 that is being discussed recently. So if we can move to the next slide, I would like to echo a bit the comment done by Martina regarding this vicious cycle and the relationship between temperature increases and indeed hot weather is driving our energy demand for air conditioning. This was a record year for heat, and I'm getting a bit tired of saying the same thing every year. And apparently I'm going to keep saying it for the next few years. And we saw that people respond to this heat. And that means that in some regions, electric fan sales, for example, doubled at the peak times of the year compared to the normal. And air conditioner sales were up to by more than 50%. And these temperatures, of course, are putting huge pressure on electricity systems. Now, our tracking shows that there's, of course, a direct relationship between higher temperatures and higher electricity use. And of course, this also means very often a direct relationship with the emissions produced by these electricity systems. We find that for every extra 1 degree rise that we see in outdoor temperature above 24 degrees, there is a 4% increase in peak electricity demand in the case of Texas. In India, AC ownership is lower, but we still see a rise of 2%. And this is a significant rise, particularly in these periods where the 2% is a 2% above the peak. That means that in many regions, what we saw is that air conditioning represented full 3/4 of the peak electricity demand on the hottest days. And of course, that means that we're straining a system at the same time as we're trying to decarbonize it. Now, in the next slide, I would like to dispel one myth, because what we found is that actually today, more efficient air conditioners do not mean higher prices up front. And this is a very strong finding. Technology development means that today there is availability of technologies that are not more expensive. And for example, when we're looking at air conditioners that have efficiency levels that are compatible with our net zero emissions by 2050 scenario, they are at the same price as some of those that do not. In the case of Thailand, so I'm not talking just about extremely advanced economies. In the case of Thailand, if you have a budget of $350, you can choose between a low efficiency unit of 3 watts per watt or a high efficiency unit of 6 watts per watt, which is actually compatible with the target of doubling energy efficiency and the net zero efficiency levels, and they have the same price. And this is not even considering the fact that the more efficient unit will provide you with roughly $2,000 over their lifetime of savings and electricity bill. Now, there's one other aspect that is not just technological improvement, and this is policy coverage. And as you may know, the interaction between policy and technology development is key to ensure that energy efficiency is accelerated to the level that it needs to be accelerated. And this year's high temperatures have had enduring effects. And as a response, we have seen very strong policy commitments and developments over the last 18 months. There's policy developments to improve energy efficiency, particularly in the hottest regions, Southeast Asia, Africa, but also seeing promising growth in policy coverage for other technologies, not just cooling. Industrial motors, which are one of the really large shares of consumption globally, have seen a tripling in the global coverage of energy efficiency policies. Efficiency standards for cars are doubling, and even a significant growth in the implementation of building energy codes. So all of these are significant policy developments that are pushing towards energy efficiency improvements. But, and this is the one but in the next slide, what we're seeing is that these advances in policy, this progress in energy efficiency policies is not really transforming into uniform gains. And that means that if you look at the graph that you cannot see behind you, the evolution of energy intensity improvements has not been stable, has not been consistent, and definitely is not aligned to what we see as a requirement of 4% improvement per year in the range of 2022 to 2030, which is compatible with our net zero emissions by 2050 scenario. Why? There's certain important aspects, and part of that has to do with regional differences. And that means that we have seen a rebound in economic growth in some emerging economies, of course, in China, increased extreme weather events that are also driving increased energy use. But also at the same time, many of these policies have been a response to the energy crisis. They've been a response to extreme weather events. And that means that as they are new, they have not had the power to fully be implemented. Now, this is really the context for where do we stand in order to be able to deliver the doubling in energy efficiency gains that we see as necessary. Now, the doubling of energy efficiency progress offers substantial rewards. It is a global target that is being considered as part of the discussions here in Dubai. I know you hope so. It's not just about the cooling pledge itself, but on Saturday, 120 governments around the world signed the Global Renewables and Energy Efficiency Pledge, tripling of renewable capacity from here to 2030, doubling of energy intensity improvements as part of energy efficiency. And this is a significant rate, of course, from the level of 2022, which is roughly 2%, to just over 4% between now and 2030. But it will bring many benefits. Nearly half of the emissions reductions by 2030 that occur in our net emission scenario come from actions that double efficiency progress. This is an extremely central and important tool. And it was mentioned before, it is the first fuel. The cheapest megawatt hour, the cleanest megawatt hour is the one that does not need to be produced. And of course, it is not just about the energy. The consequences regarding jobs and energy bills from the perspective of inclusive transitions, from the perspective of affordability, are also there. Now, with my last slide, what I would like to show is that we have today policies and technologies that enable this doubling. So this is not a pipe dream. The policies and the technologies that are in line with this 4% increase by the end of this decade are there today. We have something called an efficiency policy level index that we launched this year, and I will invite you to look at it in the report. I'm sorry. And what we're looking at here is really policies and technologies that are able, above this blue line, to be compliant with that doubling target. And the policy foundations are in place. In some places, we also already see policies that are compatible with net zero. For example, when we're talking about standards of industrial motors or about lighting. But in other ones, they are part of future developments. What does it mean? It means that policy needs to advance in order to be able to enable these best-in-class technologies that are compatible with this ambitious but necessary target of energy efficiency improvements doubling. With this, I would like to close and provide just an overview of the energy side and not of the gases side. I'm extremely thankful for my Japanese colleagues to have me here today. Thank you so much for the Ministry of Economy and Trade and Industry, and for the Ministry of Environment. It is really a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pablo. He needs to leave this meeting room soon, so that thank you very much, Pablo, for your nice presentation. Thank you very much. Okay. So having two great speeches from the international organizations. Now I would like to have another speech for who is from the industry side. And here we have Mr. Katsuyuki Sawai. He's the Senior Executive Officer of Daikin Industries. So Sawai-san, would you mind if you're coming here? Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sawai. I'm in charge of Executive Officer of Daikin Industry. I'm in charge of sustainability of the company. I'm honored to be invited as a speaker and panelist today. Thank you. Anyway, let me get it started. Next slide, please. You can see the left part of the slide. First of all, I'd like to briefly introduce what is Daikin Industries. We are a manufacturer specializing in air conditioners and heat pumps, and we will celebrate the 100 years anniversary next year. We operate globally with more than 80% of our sales and employees in overseas. Regarding to the sustainability point of view, in 2018, we have committed to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. You can see the right part of the slide. Regarding to the CO2 emissions, we emit 331 million tons CO2 last year, but almost 80% of which is emitted when our customers use our air conditioners. Because air conditioners use electricity, the CO2 emissions associated with the use of equipment are still high due to the high emission intensity. However, toward carbon neutrality, we are working to develop and promote higher efficient air conditioners and heat pumps, and proper recover and reclamation of refrigerants. Next slide, please. This slide shows that better standard labeling program, inverter or variable drive technology. If you have a time after this session, please visit our booth. We can explain easily what is inverter. You can realize probably. This technology makes immediate impact, exceptional outcomes, particularly can reducing power consumption by approximately 50%. However, this technology has not been widely disseminated in many countries, although it is already available. In particular, the implementation of appropriate energy efficiency regulation in line with ISO standard for performance evaluation is necessary to disseminate higher efficient air conditioners. So, we have been supporting the formulation of energy efficiency policies in emerging countries in Asia, India, Latin America, and Middle East in cooperation with various international organizations and governments. We will continue to develop further higher efficiency air conditioners, train service engineers, and contribute the implementation of appropriate energy efficiency regulations. Next slide, please. The refrigerant used in air conditioners, namely HFC, as you know well, has been internationally agreed to be phased down in Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. We believe that it is an important responsibility of manufacturers to develop using low GWP refrigerant, including so-called natural ones. We will continue to promote research and development activities of new refrigerant with low GWP. However, today, I'd like to point it out the importance of proper management of HFCs in air conditioners is to prevent global warming. Particularly, many countries release HFCs into the atmosphere when air conditioners are disposed. We believe it is important to recover and properly dispose the HFCs in air conditioners. Furthermore, in terms of circular economy point of view, reclamation of refrigerants can contribute to reducing the amount of newly produced refrigerants. We are working to establish a framework for the proper recovery of refrigerants in Japan, the United States, Europe, Southeast Asia, such as Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, and India. We are trying to establish recovery schemes. But in addition to that, the emission control regulation help facilitate to properly manage HFCs. Incentive is also an effective policy tool. Today, we can utilize digital technology to track and manage HFCs throughout life cycle too. I wish working together in the public and private sector to promote proper management of HFCs. My explanation is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sawai. Well, you walked us through all the companies' efforts, but also what this represents for the private sector's initiative to drive energy efficiency and also the life cycle management of HFCs and other refrigerants. Thank you very much for the very insightful presentation. Now, today we have participants from different countries and different international organizations, as you see at the front. And from now on, we would like to have a panel discussion discussing how we're going to accelerate our efforts in terms of energy efficiency and HFC lifecycle management. And for this, I would like to invite for Martina to join us in the middle. And also then, can I also request for Mr. Matsuzawa to stay with us out here? No, here, please. Fantastic. Okay, great. So we have great faces here, and I think it is good to note for that the right after this, well, we're going to move on to the global cooling pledge room, and but before that, well, let us ask our colleagues here how you are related to the cooling area. And also, you may want to express your interest and your expectation on how we can drive all this energy efficiency actions and also the life cycle management of refrigerants towards net zero emissions. And also the adaptation parts is extremely important, as many of you already touched upon. Well, the cooling is a very important aspect of food security and also the avoidance of heat shocks and other negative impacts of climate change. Now, I would like to invite Abrar from the UAE, and maybe you can introduce a little bit about yourself, and also you can express your view on this.
Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce myself in the beginning. My name is Abrar Al-Jarodi, Technical Distillation Engineer from Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology from United Arab Emirates. As well, I'm taking role as IEC National Committee Secretary. So let me give you a quick introduction about UAE history with the energy efficiency. UAE has continued the journey of Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, may his soul rest in peace. The founder of UAE, he started the journey to preserve the environment. He began the journey more than 52 years ago. An example of his direction to preserve the environment in 1970, he has ordered to expand the mangrove area forest by 180 kilometers square with more than 60 million trees. From this approach, you can see that UAE has continued his direction and hosted COP, for example, COP28 this year, to spread the impact not only in UAE, also to the entire world. Going in more details about the energy efficiency that the effort UAE is making. UAE for more than 10 years has concerned with the energy efficiency topic, especially the home and commercial AC, air conditioners. We have prepared more than 10 UAE standards that concerned about the energy efficiency of the appliances, mentioning or highlighting two main standards of the ACs, the large capacities and small capacities. Their numbers, just for your information, UAE.S5010-1 and -5. Let me give you a brief or quick history about UAE.S5010-1 for the small capacity ACs. It has been issued or published in 2011, then it has been updated in 2014. And this year we have circulated a standard draft for all our stakeholders in UAE with the new updates of the standard for both small capacities and the large capacities of the AC standard. Highlighting that the new revision of the standards are focusing on the SEER measurement, the seasonal energy efficiency ratio. As well, I want to mention that UAE is from the first countries was start measuring or evaluating the energy efficiency with the tropical classification T3 for the hot areas. Going to the cooling gases that used in the cooling appliances, Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology, as well with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, we are working on the requirements of the cooling gases used in the appliances to be aligned with the climate change direction and the safety requirements. This is a short brief.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for your nice introduction of the UAE soil initiative, and especially we really appreciate for the strong leadership by the presidency of COP28 in this area. Thank you very much. Okay, the next I would like to invite Jeff Marushian, who is the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of U.S. Department of Energy.
Great. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here to talk about this very exciting topic. I am Jeff Marushian. I lead the Department of Energy's Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, where we are committed to achieving President Biden's ambitious goal of a net zero economy by 2050. And in order to do that, we are making sizable investments in research and development and also in the deployment of clean energy technologies across a wide spectrum, very much including energy efficient systems such as heat pumps. And I'm particularly excited about the work that we're talking about today. Companies like Daikin have been leading the way in the development and furthering these types of technologies. And we have a few really exciting things that are underway at the Department of Energy, in large part because of President Biden's leadership, getting the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law, which have given us unprecedented resources to support manufacturing, to support research and development. We've got upwards of $250 million from the Inflation Reduction Act to support manufacturing facilities, assist with the expansion of new facilities, and to support workforce development. And those are the kinds of investments that we make in partnership with companies that have been really leading the way in this work. We like to think about these efforts as being private sector led and government enabled. And that means the investments with public dollars combined with the investments of private dollars translate into major gains from an efficiency standpoint. What's exciting to me about heat pumps is that we know that advances in heat pump technology also lead to advances in other technology areas as well that will ultimately improve performance, reduce cost, and reduce not only the investment in equipment, but also reduce the energy costs as well. And that's really what we're looking to do. So it's really a pleasure to be here. I want to just talk about one particular initiative that's meaningful to us, and that's our cold climate heat pump challenge. About 2 years ago, our secretary challenged a number of companies, including Daikin, to advance technologies that will help support colder climates. We spend a lot of time at the Department of Energy working in communities all across the United States that experience extreme weather. And so this technology is particularly important and meaningful. I'm really excited to see that work in action, to see some of the technologies that are on display here, like some of the variable speed compressors, the inverter technology that's helping drive these types of cutting edge innovations that are going to save families money and improve the energy efficiency of their homes. We have a number of efforts underway designed to reduce emissions in the building sector. We know that in the United States alone, there are 125 million buildings. They use about 75% of our electricity, and they're responsible for about a third of our emissions. So every step that we take to reduce those emissions, to save that precious capital for families is particularly important. So I'm honored to be here and look forward to further collaborations with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, now next, I would like to invite for Mr. Ha Kwan Ain, Doctor. He's a director of the Low Carbon Development Center of the Department of Climate Change, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment of Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Mr. Ain.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Carter, for introducing about myself. So I no need to do it one more time. So about right after COP26, Vietnam is very have high ambition and have a very strong commit about to net zero 2015. And today, very interesting to talk about the energy efficiency and the HFC Lifecycle management. That is specific in the like a century of burning like this one. So Vietnam is a developing country. So I really would like, really happy to see all of you and share what we are doing right now regarding to this one. It's quite new in Vietnam, but we try the best right after COP26 until now. Regarding to the energy efficiency, we are doing a lot to promote and develop and issues some framework or regulation regarding to this one first, because in Vietnam we first try to to develop the framework first, and then right after that we will do the training communication with different stakeholders to understand well about that, and then after that we will do we can open our space for different company, different private sector come to join with us and transfer technology right after that. And that is what we are doing. For example, right now regarding to the energy efficiency, we also have like a resolution regarding to that one. We also have some decision. We have a decree. We have a curriculum to guide the people, to guide the different stakeholders to practice, to do how to do it, to apply. For example, like in resolution about the energy efficiency, we expect to we put the target to reduce to saving the energy reach 7% in 2030, for example. Even though we are the developing country, we need energies, but we still set up the target to saving the energy 7% until 2030 and increase double time in 2045. So that's very interesting things. And regarding to HFC management, in Vietnam, we currently have laws of the environment protection already mentioned in in that one. And we also have decree number 6 with a very quite details about the law of environment protection. And we are right now on the way to developing the plan of the national plan on management and phase out the control ODS and GSG. And at the end of the year, I mean, in this month, we expect to submit to our Prime Minister to do that. Yes, and for HFC, we also have very detailed plan to reduce, for example, in really 10% in the periods of 2029 to 2034, and 30% from 2035 to 2038, 50% from 2040 to 2044, and 80% from 2045 to what? So it means that we have very detailed and clear action plan for that one. And for the next step, Vietnam is really need help from all of you from other country to cooperate together to improve the technology, to introduce some higher technology with low carbon emission, with low or maybe changing or replacing some high GWP values in the future for cooling. And one more thing, I'm right now working with UNEP about one project regarding to the urban cooling. So we are already finished the phase 1, and for the next phase 2, we will work with some private sector, sharing with them and try to engage them with the local government to put the theory into the real world. So thank you so much, and really appreciate your listening about Vietnam case. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aing. Great. Then now I would like to invite for my friend Vijay from Asian Development Bank.
Okay, thank you very much once again for inviting me to this very important conversation and also flagging this question, which is very pertinent. From my eyes, the addressing energy efficiency and focusing on gases like HFCs, which have very high global warming potential, is urgently needed because if we want to remain within the trajectory of temperature rise, if you were to look at the Paris Agreement goals. So I think this is a very critical element of the work, collaborative work. And therefore, this calls for collaboration of all like-minded development partners and countries and institutions to work together to build synergies on all work that we are doing. From the experience that we have seen in Asia and the Pacific, I think there are a few challenges, especially in the direction of promoting the life cycle management of HFC gases. Couple of those, if I may enumerate, one is lack of effective policies and strategies at the country level. This is a one important area. Number two, this is upstream. Like countries do not have sufficient strategies and policy frameworks in place to deal with the HFCs. The second thing is also there's a lack of capacity downstream as well. How to actually implement those projects, how to manage those projects, including the capacity of people like technicians, how to go about and executing it. And a common problem to this upstream and downstream is also lack of financing or financial incentives, how to go about it. So there are a number of things that have been happening, even though, for example, for Kigali, we have 148 countries. From the international protocol perspective, there's a lot of buy-in. But if we look at what the action on the ground, there's a big gap. There's a big gap. So The access to technology is another area where countries are struggling. Designing policies and going about operationalizing, identifying how those technologies could be brought in. And of course, associated issue with the access to technology is the financing. So in this context, if you are looking at, then there's a definitive room for institutions like us to help provide a helping hand, how to help countries to prepare, develop policy framework. First of all, identify what are the policy gaps, developing policy framework, holding hand, how to go about operationalizing those policies, developing pipeline of projects and providing downstream support to make sure those projects are actually implemented on the ground. But all of this in parallel requires financial resources or financial incentives. Of course, EDB as a development partner is very strongly committed on all these areas to enhancing climate action in the region, including promoting the life cycle management or HFCs. Some of the ideas from our perspective is also to provide any additional financing support from the carbon markets, for example. And in this context, I would be very happy to share that ADB is managing Japan Fund for Joint Crediting Mechanism, which is an excellent avenue for project developers to access additional financing support to incentivize deployment of advanced low carbon technologies. So this is one example. I think there could be many. There could be many channels to mobilizing carbon finance. But at the end of the day, the point remains that what we are looking is additional financial incentives that can catalyze investments in this very important sector. I think this is something that all of us need to work together. I'll stop.
Thank you very much, VK. Yeah, you touched upon the extremely important point that incentive is very, very critical matter. Well, we should start considering. Yeah. Thank you very much for this. I would like to come back to Sawai-san and Martina, but maybe at this point of time, I would like to invite if there are any questions or comments, or maybe your expectation in regards to the cooling sector from the floor. So if you have any question or comments, I would like to entertain one or two here. Anna, maybe? Yes.
Thank you, and thanks to all of the speakers today. My name is Ana Maria Claymeyer. I'm with the delegation of the Federated States of Micronesia. We are the delegation that joined with others, including Japan, to bring the proposal in the Montreal Protocol to take a special focus on the life cycle refrigerant management. I wanted to make a comment and maybe invite reactions from others. The protocol will now pay special attention to this issue, but it is not a compliance requirement under the protocol. So while there may be some small amount of funding to stimulate attention in all of the countries that are members of the protocol, and it's a universal treaty, so it's every country, it will be really important to have the private sector and the development banks being more involved to ensure that we are maximizing. Right now, in most of the smaller developing countries and medium-sized developing countries, there is no capacity or infrastructure for recycling, reclamation, even for containing the refrigerants. And so all of the refrigerants are vented into the air. So wanted to just share a little bit that perspective and why we were motivated to do this, because there's such a huge opportunity to avoid massive emissions. And invite the panel to make comments about how can we ensure that complementarity and collaboration from financing and technical experience outside of the protocol. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. Okay, I would like to invite one more, if there's any. No? Okay, then maybe, Martina, can you respond to if you can, but just yeah, for your reflection. You're representing not anybody from the Montreal Protocol, but yeah.
Well, not so much a response, but maybe a support of what Anna said. I think it's really important to look into the issue and providing the support to countries to manage, to collect, to manage, and I think there's a real opportunity here. It goes right back as well to some of the design options, maybe as well. I mean, working with the producers. And I think there's room for further innovation maybe as well. And obviously and it came in the discussions quite a bit, the importance of the minimum performance standards, how that drives the market, that drives the innovation capacity of the companies. I think the comment was made very well, enabling and push. It's a bit of a push and pull in a sense, incentivizing the companies to do certain things and setting that kind of framework. I think that's what really is important. And I maybe want to add something, and that goes beyond the HFC lifecycle management question, and that's our approach to cooling. And we talk usually about space heating and cooling, and I just want to put it out there because it's always been bothering me because maybe already at home we don't have quite the same feeling about, and I guess here in the room either, what is a comfort level, and it's very personal. And we talk about space heating and cooling. Why do we need to heat or cool an entire space if it's about my personal comfort level? And can we, and I put it out there, that we are a bit more innovative about that. We've been working, for example, with Yale University on benches, and they provide heat or cool. Actually, it can do both, and it's just around me and not around the whole space. And that actually allows to adjust for different likings. And I just wanted to put it there because I think it's a really important thing as well to the cooling agenda.
Thank you very much. Well, I really agree. Yeah, well, this is first of all, thank you very much, Anna, for raising this matters, and I think it's quite a new dynamism for that you have made in Nairobi 3 weeks ago, and I think what we're also happy to work on the that part together. And I think, and also I agree with Martina that, well, this is something what we are, well, there are lots of things that we can do. And then I think what there needs to be is support and also international cooperation. So we're looking forward to it. Yeah. And also having said that, well, today, well, we have heard for many different expectations and also activities. And well, from the industry's perspective, we're very much impressed with that Daikin and also other industrial partners are making great efforts. And then I think it's not really stopping here. Well, it's actually moving very fast. And so I would like to ask Soe-san to provide for your own perspective and also expectation.
Thank you. And already I explained the importance of the high efficiency product, and it's the making a standard and regulation, and also the HFC's life cycle management also we already explained. And but today I am encouraged because of the people, a lot of people, thinking about the importance of HFC's life cycle management. In Japan, the Daikin is taking leadership of making this kind of the recovery and reclamation system. And also together with the Vietnam government, we are trying to install this kind of operation. But the lady put the comments, it's very encouraging to me because not only big countries, but also the small countries and also required because of toward 2050, based upon the IEA report, cooling with big demand becoming to 3 times, means HFC or this kind of the recovery and the reclamation will be required. Anyhow, our tendency or the direction is correct, I have the confidence. But today, I have confidence with the same the consideration or realization people had. This is very, I was encouraged. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's also a really encouraging word from Sawai-san. Thank you for the word. So today, well, we had a discussion on energy efficiency and also life cycle management of refrigerants in the cooling area, cooling sector. And I think, well, today is the day where we are going to elevate our actions. And well, I really appreciate your active participation. And I would like to ask for VK to provide your final comment and also the maybe both the wish to us all for our joint action for your speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for giving me this honor to provide the closing remarks. I know this was a very interesting conversation. I really did not want this to finish, but it will be inappropriate to call this as a closing session because this discussion will continue and the work has just began. So I would say this is going to be a new beginning. But yeah, I'll try to provide some reflections on what happened today. So I think the importance of reducing emissions from the refrigeration and air conditioning is being seen as more significant as we see the global average temperatures are rising and they continue to rise. This is why promotion of proper refrigeration management and promotion of the life cycle management of HFCs and improving energy efficiency is very critical. And when I say critical, this is truly critical in maintaining our hope for 1.5 degrees, which is the goal for the Paris Agreement. So in that context, today's event was really very important and the conversation was really very, very rich. I say very rich because it facilitated very good exchange of knowledge among the experts and also the parties who have taken certain actions on the ground, different institutions who are really committed and are working very hard to deal with this issue. We heard from Vietnam, the experience that they had in the action they have taken. ADB has an honor to be working with colleagues at Monterey in supporting their efforts in dealing with the life cycle management of HFC. And I know how hard they are working and I wish them luck on this one. So ADB prides itself as a climate bank for Asia and the Pacific. We were very happy to be a founding member of the initiative on the fluorocarbons life cycle management, which was launched by the Ministry of the Environment of Japan at COP25. We have made a lot of progress ever since, and ADB remains committed to promoting the life cycle management of fluorocarbons. We do acknowledge and recognize that this area requires collaborative efforts, and we all need to scale up our actions and against the battle against climate change, and there's a very large room for all the development partners and all stakeholders, I would say, to work together to build synergies in our efforts, especially in the context of HFCs. So I would like to take this opportunity to mention that the Global Cooling Pledge is being launched right after this event, which is another milestone, another beginning, and that's why I was saying that it will be wrong to call this as a closing event. So this initiative is being led by the United Arab Emirates, the presidency of COP28. We are truly honored about that. The pledge will seek to accelerate mitigation measures globally in this very important area that we have been talking. All of us are working on this. So there are substantial rooms for strengthening the mitigation efforts for the cooling sector through the energy efficiency and phasing down of HFCs. And I do hope that these global efforts and pledges are translated into immediate action and we can jointly accentuate the momentum in promoting the life cycle management of fluorocarbons and energy efficiency. So once again, my sincere thanks to all the organizers, especially all the participants, for making this event really very rich, very engaging. And I look forward to continuing this conversation in the adjoining room immediately after that. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your participation. Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you.